Welcome to SATV News. This is Nuri Alamin with the headlines. PR voting system would undermine people's authority, said Mr. Fakhrul. Next parliament will decide on PR. Jamaat Islami calls on Election Commission to hold a referendum in November. CEC chaired in the meeting. Release of Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails begins. Hamas frees all 20 living Israeli captives. Now in details. BNP Secretary General Mr. Fakhrul Islam Alamgir has said if elections are held under the proportional representation system, these would undermine people's authority to elect their representatives. He also said under such a system, this would not be the people but the political parties who decide who becomes a representative. He made these remarks today during a views exchange meeting with leaders of the Bangladesh Christian Forum at the BNP chairperson's office in Gulshan at Dhaka. Mr. Fakhrul said suddenly raising the demand for a PR system and launching a movement on the issue is confusing for those who want an early election. Besides, he said that the next parliament will take decision regarding the application of the PR system in national elections. The BNP leader further said that if his party comes to power, representation of all communities will be ensured in the proposed upper house of parliament. BNP Secretary General Mr. Fakhrul Islam Alamgir has said if elections are held under the proportional representation system, it would undermine people's authority to elect their representative. He also said under such a system, it would not be the people's, the political parties who decide becomes a representative. He made this remark today during a views exchange meeting with leader of the Bangladesh Christian Forum at BNP chairperson office in Gulshan. Meanwhile, BNP chairperson advisor Amanullah Aman today alleged that conspiracy was going on regarding the upcoming parliamentary election in 2026. A particular party is conspiring and plotting against the election in Bangladesh. They were also creating obstacles in various places ahead of the election. He said the BNP leader was addressing a commemorative decision, a discussion marking the second death anniversary of the Democratic League General Secretary Shaifuddin Ahmed Moni, the National Press Club as a chief guest. Regarding the PR system, he said those who had a controversial role during the country's 1971 War of Liberation are now trying to sabotage the election in the name of PR. Nobody would be allowed to sabotage the much-desired election, added Aman. The BNP leader further announced that BNP acting chairman Tariq Rahman will return to home country soon and participate in the election campaign. The Jamaat Islami has formally proposed that a referendum on electoral reform be held separately in November prior to the upcoming Jatiya Sanshad elections. The party submitted a written proposal to the Election Commission to this effect. A Jamaat delegation led by Naib Amir Syed Muhammad Abdullah Tahir met with the EC at the Agargaon office this afternoon. Chief Election Commissioner M.M. Nasiruddin chaired this meeting, attended by all four election commissioners and the EC secretary. Meanwhile, speaking to reporters after the meeting, Tahir stressed the need for a distinct referendum process separate from the general elections. Electoral reform is a fundamental and permanent issue for the nation. It transcends the timing for mechanics of any particular election, he said. Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus has urged the International Fund for Agricultural Development to establish a social business fund aimed at supporting young agricultural entrepreneurs women, farmers, and food processors in Bangladesh. He made the urge to IFAD President the Alvaro Lario called on the Dr. Mahmoud Yunus at his hotel in Rome, Italy on Sunday. He said Chief Advisor's press wing during their meeting. The two leaders discussed a range of strategic issues, including support for launching Bangladesh deep-sea fishing industry, expanding efforts of the mangoes and jackfruit, promoting climate-resilient agricultural entrepreneurs IP, and assist buffalo farmer in producing dairy products such as mozzarella cheese. Dr. Yunus invited the IFAD president to visit Bangladesh, sent a team to explore potential opportunity for collaboration in agriculture, social business, and technology. Religious Affairs Advisor Dr. A.F.M. Khalid Hussain said around Taka 38 crore of the upspent fund belonging to Bangladeshi Hajj agencies have been successfully repatriated from Saudi Arabia. The funds were sent by various agencies over the time for Hajj purposes but had remained unutilized. He also said during a press briefing today. Khalid Hussain said all upspent funds of a total number of 990 agencies deposited in Ivan of the Master Nusuk platform under the Saudi Ministry of Hajj and Umrah have been brought back. Among the 990 agencies, 3 had no upspent fund in their account, they said. The advisor said 831 agencies where bank account will have their money transferred directly, while remaining 156 agencies have been asked to provide account details to receive their fund. Dr. Khalid Hussain said the recovery and return to upspent fund from previous year reflect the initiative and goodwill of Ministry and Religious Affairs. Together, we aim to elevate Bangladesh Hajj management to a desired standard, and we are committed to maintaining the excellence of the next Hajj arrangement. The government has declared a building in Dhaka cantonment as temporary prison under the provisions of the Prisoners Act 1984. According to a gazette notification issued by the Home Ministry yesterday, the building identified as MES Building number 54, located north of Bashar Road in Dhaka cantonment, has been designated as a temporary jail. The order was signed by Muhammad Hafiz al-Assad, Deputy Secretary of Home Ministry, and issued on behalf of the President. As part of their uninterrupted sit-in demanding 20% of their basic salary, as Housing Alliance MPO affiliated teachers and employees have continued their protest at the Central Shohid Mina for a second day. Although organizers announced an uninterrupted sit on a private MPO affiliated educational institutions from Monday to protest the police attack on demonstrators at work stoppage is being observed unevenly across the country. Classes continued in most private educational institutions in the capital today. In other districts, however, the situation was different. Viewers, we're taking a short break. Stay with us.
তুমি গাধা। মন্দিরা চক্রবর্তী কার সাথে প্রেম করছে?
আমি এখন মা হতে
begins after Hamas frees all 20 living Israeli captives held in the Gaza Strip as part of ceasefire deal. In exchange for the hostages, Israel is releasing 250 Palestinian prisoners and more than 1,700 detainees. The first groups have begun arriving in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank in Gaza. Earlier in the day, Israeli military confirmed that the last 20 living hostages held by Hamas in Gaza are now back in Israel after more than 2 years in captivity. However, the remains of up to 28 deceased hostages are yet to be handed over. The hostages were kidnapped by Hamas during the October 7 attack in 2023. Following the attack, Israel's genocide on Gaza has killed at least 67,869 people and wounded 1,70,105 since October 2023. Donald Trump addresses Israeli parliament as hostages and some Palestinian prisoners are freed. Viewers, we will now go live. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi welcomed on Monday a world leader at the country's Red Sea resort city at Sharm el-Sheikh ahead of Gaza Peace Summit aimed at ending the war. Former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair shook hands with Sisi as he joined other regional and international leaders for this international summit led by US President Donald Trump and hostages by Sisi. The next phase of US President Donald Trump's peace plan calls for an international body, the Board of Peace, to play a role in Gaza post-war administration. The plan calls for Trump to lead it and includes former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. Trump is scheduled to travel to Egypt, Sharm el-Sheikh for the peace summit of the world leader on ending the Gaza war. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Monday that US President Donald Trump's plan to settle the Israeli-Palestinian conflict only dealt with Gaza and was not specific enough on Palestinian statehood. Donald Trump's peace plan only addresses the Gaza Strip. It mentions statehood, but rather general terms, said Lavrov. During a press briefing, it was Moscow's clearest statement so far that it doesn't see the Trump plan as sufficiently detailed and far-reaching. Although Lavrov was said Russia hoped all the agreements reached between Israel and Hamas under the plan would be implemented. President Vladimir Putin said last week that Russia was ready to help peace effort using its contact with all parties in the region. Meanwhile, Sergei Lavrov also said that Moscow was legally supplying Iran with military equipment it needed. At the same time, instigation of European governments, the United Nations reinstated an arms embargo and sanction on Iran over the nuclear program on September 27. Afghanistan's Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi said on Sunday that Qatar and Saudi Arabia had mediated between his country and Pakistan following cross-border exchanges of fire overnight in which Kabul claimed to have killed 58 Pakistani soldiers. Afghan troops opened fire on Pakistani border post late on Saturday, with the country's Ministry of Defense saying that was in relation in Pakistan airstrike in Afghanistan earlier in the week. Pakistan said that it had responded with gun and artillery fire. Kabul said on Sunday that it had halted attack at the request of Qatar and Saudi Arabia. The two Arab Gulf nations had released a statement of concern about the clashes. The Pakistan military killed more than 200 Taliban and affiliated terrorists in the clashes, it said in a statement on Sunday. President Emmanuel Macron said on Monday that the duty of political forces was to work towards stability and not to bait instability. following the formation of Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu's new government. The French presidency announced the Lecornu new cabinet lineup on Sunday, with the most top jobs remaining unchanged at a time when opponents are demanding a political shift to win their support for urgent budget talks. Lecornu, whose last cabinet lasted just 14 hours, reappointed Local Rescue, a close ally of President Emmanuel Macron, as finance minister. The government must formally present a budget in the coming days that faces the perilous path through a deeply divided parliament, where many have now set their sight on the contest to succeed Macron in 2027. Lecornu also kept Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot and Justice Minister Gérald Darmanin in their post. Four people were killed and at least 20 others injured in a shooting at a restaurant in the South Carolina island town in Sunday, the Broward County Sheriff Office said. The deputies were called to Whaley Bar and Grill on St. Helena Island just before 1 a.m. and found several people suffering from gunshot wounds. The Sheriff Office stayed on statement. Those injured are for a critical condition, authorities said. The Sheriff's Office said it was investigating the incident but declined to provide further detail. Office declined the release of the name of those killed pending notification of family member. Hundreds of people were there at the time of the shooting, the Sheriff's Office said. The new Peruvian president, Jose Jerry, confronted his first protest on Sunday by engaging in dialogue with Aldo Marinas, a local mayor who had marched for days to a capital, Lima, to demand more attention for his regime. Marinos, the mayor of Pataza, a small town about 880 kilometers north of Lima, started a march to the capital August 25 to protest the lack of investment in the law-liberated regime. Upon reaching Lima, Marinos was welcomed by Zeri at the government palace, while a crowd of supporters and protesters demonstrated against the new administration. The appointment of Zeri late on Thursday after the sudden impeachment of his president and caused further discontent in a country tense with rising crime and accusation of corruption. In January 2025, he was accused of sexual assault by the woman. The case was archived in August 2025 by Attorney General's office, citing a lack of evidence. Polling station staff in Cameroon's largest city, Douala, began counting votes after a presidential election on Sunday, in which incumbent Paul Biya, the world's oldest ruler at 92 years, is widely expected to extend his 43-year grip on power. His opponents include former government spokesperson Issa Tekilo, who was the galvanized large crowd demanding an end of Biya's long tenure and drawn endorsement from a platform of some opposition party and civic group. However, according to analyst, Biya, who remains in power since 1982, is likely to be re-elected, given him from control over a state institution and the fragmented nature of an opposition filed 9 candidates. Just over 8 million Cameroon registered to vote. Results are expected within 15 days and there are no exit polls. Joel Mokhir, Philippine Arjun and Peter Howitt won the 2025 Nobel Economics Prize for having explained innovation-driven economic growth. The Royal Swedish Academy of the Sciences said on Monday. The laureates have taught us the sustained growth cannot be taken for granted. Economic stagnation, not growth, has been norm in the most of human history. Their work shows that we must be aware of and counteract threats to continue growth, the prize-awarding body said in a statement. The prestigious award, formerly known as the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Science of Memory of Alfred Nobel, is the final prize to be given out this year.
Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel for 2025 to Joel Moky.